Welcome back to the Landedkiller show. Today I thought I would review a tech tree ship, specifically the Pensacola today, because it's been a little bit since I've done a nice tech tree review. So since we did a battleship, we're going to do a cruiser this time around. Pensacola represents a class of ship called treaty cruisers, pretty much, that came out before World War II that had to obey the Washington Naval Treaty of 1922. We'll probably say something about that. Yep. So let's talk about our armor here first, and we'll go on to the other aspects in a minute. Alright, so you can see that we have a nice 25mm bow here. Front. 65mm turret, 38mm roof on the turret, 25 on the side, 25 on the side. You can see the turrets are pretty long. 25mm plating along the middle here. Armor belt 76mm, 102mm. Goes back to 19 right here. Superstructure is 13mm here. Aft is 25. A little curved bottom at 30 right there. Take a look at our citadel here. It's underneath the water. It's a little bit above the water. You can see here it's a little bit above the water. We got this kind of a step shape. So we have a warship of 25. 65 up here. 102, 25mm belt under the water, 30mm bottom. The roof is 25, 38 in this back section here. 65 on the back of the warship, 102mm plating. This was one of the first tech line ships that came into the game for the American cruiser line, the original American cruiser line. This used to be a tier 7 in the original American cruiser line. It had some changes as a result. I don't remember them off the top of my head, so I'm not going to try to recall all the details on that, because that was a long time ago. So we're going to get back into stats here. We have a 32,700 hit points. Awful torpedo damage reduction of 4%. That's really bad. The hit points are at least decent for its tier. Your main thing about this ship is its hard-hitting guns. You got a reload of 15 seconds on them. The 180-degree turn time is slow. Is very slow at 34 seconds. It's got a range of 15.7 kilometers. Maximum damage 2,800 for high explosive, 14% fire chance. Armor piercing is 4,830. Got an airstrike here. AA is pretty decent for its tier. It's got some 20 mil Orchians up at the front. Some Bull-4s more towards the middle here. Some 8x 127mm MK Mount 19. Now you can see here that that's actually a part of its secondaries too. The secondaries will actually fire pretty decently on the American cruisers. The only thing that sucks is their range isn't that decent. It's only 5 kilometers. In the old days, you used to sometimes spec cruisers. Like I had my Des Moines spec for secondaries at one point when they were the old secondaries, just for fun. So let's go back to the AA. Continuous damage is good for its tier. Damage by shell explosions is good. Priority secondary reinforcements really good at 50%. Firing range 4.8, so you're still vulnerable to skip bombers. But it's pretty decent AA for its tier. Maneuverability 32.5 knots. Turning circle radius 620 meters. Rudder shift time 5.6 seconds. Keep in mind I have equipment installed on this, so that's imagine about 20% more, and you get that rudder shift time pretty much. Concealment It is 8.4 when firing guns and smoke, 15.7 when firing main battery gun shell, fire 15.7, so your concealment isn't the greatest. There's your sub stats, there's the air, 2.0, 8.4 after firing a gun. Alright, let's get into skills here. Grease the gears because the turrets just, the base turning speed for the turrets is awful, so you're going to want this. Keep in mind it's that way because of the guns, and then I got priority target, and then I have heavy AP shells. And then eventually I'm going to have the, you know, we're just going to spec it up to it. Just going to get top grade gunner might actually. Nope. I'm gonna go with concealment. Just to get that base concealment down by a little bit. Alright, now let's get into equipment. See here, I have main armaments modification 1 to help with the turrets. Damage control system mod 1 to help with fires. Main battery modification 2 because I see it as more of a necessity because the turrets return so slow on this. You can make the armament for aiming systems mod 1. Personally, I prefer the faster turret traverse. And then I chose steering gears modification 1 because the base rudder shift just didn't quite cut it for me. Ideally, though, no, steering gears modification 1 all the way. This will help a little bit, but honestly, you need to be able to turn to dodge enemy fire, especially with all the ships getting the fast speed boost these days. Damage control party, standard for American cruisers, and then you have the choice between Hydro or Def AA. You get 4 charges of Def AA. They don't have Superintendent equipped, so that's accurate. You get 3 charges of Hydro. I choose Hydra just because there's so much torpedo spam these days. And then you have a fighter, which pretty useless, but it is what it is. Let me change this over to co-op here. Take this out for a quick spin and see that I have the base camo on here. It does have a space camo, which you can normally purchase if you'd like. But I'm keeping it on the base camo today because I've had that space camo on for at least a few months now. I'm going to take Pensacola out into battle and we're going to test her out here. So some of you may be wondering when I'm going to do a supercarrier video, like actually go on the public test and do a video on it. That's gonna be a wait and see if I can get on the public test. If I can get on there, I'm gonna be sure to get a video out on that. Otherwise, I just think overall supercarriers are just unhealthy for the game currently, but it seems that Wargaming wants to push ahead on them. I've seen a couple videos out on the Hornets. I'm excited for that ship. I can't wait to have it in game. I'm definitely picking up the Hornet when it comes in the game. The Doolittle bombers are iconic to many historic naval films on that subject matter. There's a film that was made sometime in the early 2000s or late 90s that was focused on Pearl Harbor. It was on VHS. If I can find the film or whatever, I plan to review that eventually. As for other matters, you know, I've been doing a lot of content for the other channels a lot lately. That's why you haven't seen uploads in the last couple of days here. Because I've been trying to get content out on those channels so they're good for a little while. But I do want to reiterate the fact that this is the main channel and there will be constant uploads on it. Because it's the main one. But I'm not going to necessarily do longer form content on here like I do on the other channels, as that would just be a terrible idea, honestly, in my opinion. The only longer form content that I will ever do is it's going to be a ship review, or it's going to be a tier showcase. And I know that some of you have been waiting patiently for the next iteration for that, so I'll be working on one of those very soon here. So just bear with me with that. I've had a slight cold today, so I've just been trying to do my best here. Other than that, you know, focusing back on recent wargaming news, there's an announcement. By the time this video goes up, the announcement stream will probably be in progress. I believe it starts at 8 a.m. Central US, pretty much. So I would tune into that. I'll probably give my thoughts on that same day if I can. If not, then the day after. We'll just kind of see on that. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what sort of content I can make here. I'm thinking about making a couple of guides. Probably gonna do one on premium ships. Probably one about how to choose your first tech tree line. Sort of give my tips and tricks on that. Lamu's put out a couple of good videos on tier lists for the tier 10s and for some coal and steel ships, so definitely check out those videos by him if you get a chance. Otherwise, I haven't really seen that much in terms of World of Warship news lately. Looks like Hornet's going to be a good ship for many. And that eventually comes out into the game, which I assume is going to be probably 2 patches from now. I'm going to say 2 patches from now, and that's going to drop in the game. If not 3 patches. Depends on how long it takes them to balance out that tactical bomber squadron. That's the main factor, I think. Honestly, going back to Pensacola, I like how hard the guns hit. It's definitely a huge plus to have hard-hitting guns. Fortunately, you know, I've encountered this scenario a lot in co-op lately, where the destroyers will just finish off a lot of the ships before you even get a chance to fire your guns on them. That's why I've been dipping into randoms a lot lately when I do the review videos. Because it's just no fun to play co-op when the destroyers just wipe out all of the ships on ya. You know? It's rare that you'll see a lone battleship like this by itself. You'll have a destroyer just go up and sink them with the torpedoes. See? That Akatsuki's gonna sit there and go and drop some torpedoes on this ship here. So I just want to reiterate that this same thing that a lot of other players are saying. I think that you should make these ships a little bit harder for the destroyers to come up on them and hit.
The ship is on fire.
Because look at that battle just ended just like that, and I don't really... That's not up to my standard. We're going back in for another co-op. Honestly, it's one of the things that's been annoying me a lot lately when I've been trying to get some good gameplay recorded, is that the destroyers will go in and they'll completely wipe out the enemy ships. And it wasn't that way a couple of months ago. So I don't know what's driving up the destroyer population in co-op lately, but I just think it's ridiculous that I can't sit there and get in some good shots on ships before the destroyers just completely wipe them out. You'll notice it a lot on the slower ships. Like if you bring Kansas in here, you'll definitely notice it. I don't know if they're doing missions or what. I'm gonna guess that maybe they're doing a lot of missions. That's my guess, but I'm not gonna sit there and put you guys through an entire random battle for this review on Pensacola. I guess what I would say to the DD captains is save some for the cruisers and the battleships. Don't just take them all out on your own. You know, I just think that we should be able to have our fair share of destroyed enemies as well. You know? honestly, the meta in the game lately has been faster and faster and faster ships, and I'm not necessarily in agreement with that because this game used to be more tactically minded. It wasn't just run and gun like a lot of these new lines are going to be. Specifically the Italian destroyer line. When that comes into the game in full force, those are going to have emergency speed boosts. They're going to be able to rush on the cap and take out enemies pretty quick with their guns. The drawback is the short range on their guns, but they're going to be able to go in there and massacre any destroyers they face, pretty much. Now, let's kind of get back to Pensacola here. So what you find is that your turrets will turn really slow, which is why I opted for the equipment for the turning of the turrets and the skill for the turrets, because I find that the guns turn a little too slow for the game these days. But you got to remember, you got 10 203mm guns, so those are your strong point. Sometimes you'll get this annoying ricochet on your shells because they hit a little harder than normal shells at this tier for other cruisers. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll get a nice citadel like that. See what I mean? This ship was the OG ship that a lot of people would go back to. Aoba, I don't think was as popular as Pensacola was. But lately you have more faster ships that people are leaning on these days. Mainly like the Italian cruiser at tier 6. Other newer lines. Pensacola can get into trouble real quick when you expose too much side. You saw I just took a big hit there. I think that we're probably going to get a Japanese light cruiser line down the road. Sometime within the next 2 years, I want to say. But I know for sure that British battle cruisers are not going to be ignored for much longer. That's got to be more of a priority. But what I think, like I said in another video, I think that the big announcement that you're going to see when this video goes live anyway is probably going to be a couple of new lines and a couple of new super ships. I'm going to guess that they're going to try to go all in on super ships. They're going to announce more of them. They're probably going to announce a couple of submarine lines as well, I would imagine. I imagine it's probably going to be Commonwealth cruisers or American CV split tomorrow. Or today as you're watching this video. I really find that the Commonwealth is probably going to get a line, and so is Pan American. Because those have been sitting in the game for a while now without any complete lines. I imagine that's where the devs are going to focus on, is getting those ship lines completely worked out, especially for Commonwealth. I gotta say, I was disappointed that there wasn't a Zumo, the Viaje or whatever it's called, in the Lunar New Year event. If that was around in the event for direct buy, I probably would have went for it. But Viaje, unfortunately, is not available, so yeah. I don't know what their thought process is on that. It's not an op ship. I don't know what their reasoning is behind that. Probably just artificial scarcity. But it is what it is. So Pensacola, to wrap things up a little bit: strong guns, slow turret traverse, decent armor when facing head-on to the enemy, bad armor on the sides. You want to play it cautiously. You don't want to go too far in. You want to try to support your destroyers. You don't want to overextend. Just keep in mind your range is limited and you don't have a spotter. If this thing got a spotter, it'd probably be a little too much for it. Honestly. I'm just going to give my brief thoughts on supercars in this video. I'm just going to say that I don't think that they're healthy for the game. They need to be heavily tested before implementation in random battles like Wargaming is going to do. I don't agree with their approach that they're just going to dump them in random battles. It feels like they're just trying to throw anything at the wall at this point just to keep the game alive. Because player growth is slowing down. The game isn't growing as fast as it used to be. But the primary audience, Russia, they're really going downhill for the player numbers. Just look at Sea Raptor's video, the quarterly review for Sea Raptor. Look at that video and you'll know what I mean. At Chun King. Interesting. But yeah, like I was saying, Pensacola is a decent ship for its tier. Still holds up today. Strong guns, slow turret traverse, strong armor when facing bow on, but weak side armor. So you got to player pretty aggressively depending on the situation. Sometimes aggressive and sometimes defensive. But since you don't have torpedoes, you gotta watch out. So don't overdo it. But yeah, that was one of the first lines I did, was the American cruisers. And the Japanese cruiser at the same time. So this is Chun King. I'm not going to say too much about this because I just got it, so I can't really say much on it, but looks to be a decent ship. I'll have to try it out. So until next time, take care everybody, and be safe. These are chaotic times. A lot of stuff's going on. And expect a decent review on Book of Boba Fett in another week or two when that series finishes up. Because I believe there's only 2 episodes left. One this week and then one next week. So I'm going to do a review on that. And I got some reviews on Transformers probably hitting on the Killer Film reviews as well here soon enough. So be on the lookout for those. As for main channel, future plans, probably a video on supercarriers. And most likely a video on the announcements for when this video hits. So be on the lookout for those. And check the Twitter and Discord for updates as needed, as I've been using the Discord a lot lately, and the updates from Landedkiller channel specifically. I've been commenting on, I'll usually leave a comment or two there if there's no video put out, letting you know what's going on. So pay attention to that, join the Discord, and I hope all of you have a decent day. Thank you.